I was leading a very normal life. I did not know, terms like feminism. I didn't know terms like human rights. I didn't. It's not as though I studied development or anything like that. But my turning point came when there was the communal riots in my state. But it so happened that during the riots, yeah, since everything was closed, we didn't have to go to work because there was curfew. So I happened to visit a relief camp where there were, thousands of women, children, families whose homes had been burned down and who were displaced. First time when I went there, I was shocked, and a lot of women, lot of children narrated their stories. So somewhere it influenced me hugely when I saw women who were not half as privileged as me, and they were fighting to get justice and fighting to sort of come back to terms with what was happening in their life and not accepting defeat. Even had researchers, we had academics coming from Europe, from North America, everywhere, and a lot of the my fellow women activists today who are part of BMMA, I happened to meet them when many of them came down to my city to volunteer in on all those relief camps. And that's when we started talking to each other, and we struck that chord at once. And there was this bonding as women and as Muslim women.
I have been working on women's issues for last 28 years now. And in 2007, myself and Zakia and we started a Muslim women's movement called Bhartiya Muslim Mahila Andolan, which in English we would call it the Indian Muslim Women's Movement. There was a strong need that we felt for Muslim women to come together.
Because India is a constitutional democracy, and all of us, all the citizens have right to religious freedom. But at the same time, it is a secular country. So those in government, the elected representatives, are not supposed to have a religious bias.
We believe that it is possible to talk about the modern human rights and yet continue to believe in one's own beliefs. And for that, it is important that we rework, reinterpret, retranslate our texts so that we are able to make sense of it in today's world. Because it is not just against the Muslims, it's against the entire secular fabric of our country. So the first challenge was at our existence itself. So there was a question raised when we started working, when we launched BMMA, that why do you need a Muslim women's movement? We have such a nice, strong women's movement. And why are you dividing the movement, and why are you bringing in the religious aspect? And so that was the first kind of resistance that we faced. The preamble of our constitution talks about equality, justice, freedom, democracy, secularism, socialism. And these are our values of the constitution. And why should we as Muslim women not take benefit of those values? We also wanted to take the Quran along, because we are believing women, and we felt that all that God has ordained for us in the holy book, why should we not take it, and why should we not use that in our work and dispel the misinformation that has been propagated by religious groups? We also felt that we are not just an Indian citizen or a Muslim woman, we are also a global citizen.
In India, the laws are secular for everybody, except when it comes to family laws. So everybody is supposed to have family laws based on their own faith. But as far as Muslims are concerned, we do not have a family law.
So somewhere we felt that we need to take on that onus and responsibility. If the governments are not doing its job, then it's our job to make the government realize their responsibility. If the community leadership has failed, then it is time that this leadership vacates its space and allows other groups to come in and take leadership. We have ourselves drafted a codified law. To us, is quite comprehensive, and it touches on all the issues from inheritance to adoption to divorce to maintenance to custody of children. So the first thing that we did, reached out to the state government, to the various commissions. So we have Women's Commission, we have the Human Rights Commission, we have the Law Commission, which are quasi state bodies. And they also refuse to entertain us on these issues. And they would refer us back to the religious groups that we are going to be listening about Sharia matters or matters of religion or personal law only from the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, or only from Darul Uloof Deoband, or only from Jamaat-e-Islami. These are very strong national religious groups in our country. We reached out to the national government in 2007 itself, while we were doing consultations on our draft law, and absolutely no audience. And we have been time and again reaching out to the government with this comprehensive law. This is the draft law. Please discuss it, debate it, get the whole world to respond to this draft law, and give us a legislation. We deserve it, and it's our right as a citizen of this country. Like every 30 years, there's one small law coming in. The first law was passed in 1937 by the British. Then there was another law which came in 1939. And the third law came in 1986, which is like what, 40, 45 years. And after 86, the next law comes in 2019, maybe after 30 years. So we are going to be getting these small pieces of legislation every 3 decades. So instead of spending our time and energy talking to the parliament and making them respond to our needs, why should we not go to the court and let the court then direct the government to make a law for us? So we had filed a public interest litigation against triple divorce in 2016.
We've had two very important legal victories. One was about women's entry into a religious place of worship. So we won that case in the Supreme Court. And another was against, the instant triple divorce. Thanks to the patriarchal misinterpretations, in our country, the commonest form of divorce in the Muslim community had come to be that the man will just occur these three, he'll just say these three words. And in that instant, that moment, she is divorced and she has to be thrown out and she has no rights after that. She can't collect her belongings. She can't even collect her children. So that also, the Supreme Court ruled in our favor. That has now been made illegal. Also, somewhere down, I think around 2015, we started training women Qazis.
Qazi in India, there are marriages which are solemnized by religious people who are trained in Islamic law. So they undergo a training by which they are able to solemnize a marriage, and then that marriage becomes a legal marriage. A lot of our problems in the community with Muslim women's legal issue is largely because of the male Qazis. Okay, so they actually should be ensuring that the girl is 18 before marriage, which they don't do. And they have a very, they have a typical understanding of religion, and they are confirmed in their minds. 9 out of 10 are confirmed in their minds that a husband is superior and a wife has to obey the husband. A lot of that kind of background work which a Qazi is supposed to do, the male Qazis were not doing. So we said, okay, addressing them and educating them and influencing them will be a long-term goal. But in the short run, if women are willing to be trained and, sort of work as Qazis, we need to train them. Women Qazis who are trained in the constitution of the country, who are trained in the Quran, who understand the rights of women, and who are also, not just a training in the legal aspect, but also the solemnization process also we brought into this training. Because there's more demand. Because women Qazis can be a huge community resource, especially because
there is no other mechanism available. And the available mechanisms are all male centric. That's why. So yeah, so it is a degree of success, I would say. So it's an ongoing process of interaction with the community, ongoing trainings, ongoing workshops, educating the women and the girls about their Quranic rights, about the Quranic teachings from a gender just and from a human rights perspective, as well as the education about the constitutional rights coming from different parts of the country. And we kind of take them through a curriculum where they can go back to their respective communities and with greater kind of knowledge, greater kind of understanding, and with they're more equipped to deal with the community issues. We must be in different places. We must be literally doing thousands of small workshops.
So in the last 13 years, the movement has been largely led by women from the communities, from villages, from small towns, from cities. And our strategy has been to not just organize them, bring them together, but focus on their knowledge building, on giving them information, of creating a certain understanding of their issues, specifically on the issue of Muslim family law. Because we are a movement, we are not registered, so our strategy was to reach out to as many women as possible, as many groups as possible, as many components within the community as possible. So we spent about 8 years going around the country talking to Muslim women from different states, from different villages and smaller towns and bigger cities, through different organizations. And we have actually come up with a draft law, which to us is quite comprehensive, and it touches on all the issues from inheritance to adoption to divorce to maintenance to custody of children. And we have been time and again reaching out to the government with this comprehensive law. Hundreds of women came in our public hearings with the complaint of being divorced orally. And at that point, of course, we were saying that triple talaq also should be made invalid, and there has to be a process of arbitration for both man and women for a divorce to happen. And while the arbitration is happening, the custody of children needs to be decided upon based on the best interest of the child. And we keep giving this explanation that we are a autonomous, independent, secular organization. And in spite of having brought in a legislation which has impacted 80 million Muslim women in our country, I'm looking at 50% of the population, not to count the children who comprise another maybe 25%, 30% of the population. This legislation has impacted that kind of a group, that kind of a population. And it has given negotiating powers to the women within the family. And we can see the impact that the cases have dropped.
So in the process of fighting these two cases, we were able to build a lot of public education and a lot of public awareness within the community, and also because it's a multicultural, multi-faith country, it was also equally important to build the understanding in other communities, for them to better understand and better appreciate the Muslims and not demonize them so much.
I think we have a very bright future. We just need to put ourselves together, raise more resources, get more people to join us, and work in that direction.